Hey, welcome back to Grit Gym, guys. Grit Gym, I have Amber here today. We're going to go over vegan versus keto, and we're going to take the bias and opinion out of it. And really, we're going to get very clear and down to business on what this thing actually means. And if you guys are asking me, Grit Gym is a personal training studio in Iowa City that specializes in program design and movement quality being the number one thing. And we tailor each program to each individual based on the findings of their assessment. We do the assessment during the strategy session, so definitely head on over to Grit Gym, sign up for a strategy session. If you click the Get Started button, there's a little bonus in there for you that you're going to get a better deal than if you just go and sign up for a regular strategy session. You can do it both ways, but I think you want the bonuses. Anyway, thoughts on vegan versus keto? Go. Maybe we should go. Maybe we should start with like what is vegan and what is keto.
For all those people that don't know.
Some people might not know what keto is.
All right. So vegan means that you do not eat any animals or animal products.
Yes.
Keto was a sentence where you can say it is a high-fat, low-carb diet. Right?
Yeah.
Is that a concise way of explaining
It's a high-fat, high-protein.
It's moderate protein.
Moderate protein. Yeah,
I shouldn't argue with you.
Yeah, normal protein. No, it's basically like you don't eat any carbohydrates. Like you would consider an onion to be high carbohydrate on the keto diet.
I mean it gets kind of complicated because everybody's threshold to getting ketosis is different. But usually you're looking at around 30 or 35% or 30 or 35 grams of carbs a day or less.
That's so to put it. That's just
how many grams of carbs?
Nothing.
How many grams of carbs do you think you eat in a day?
Oh, I'm in the hundreds.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, probably.
I'm probably closer to 1,000 than I am to 100.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but most people like the starting place I think is right around 30 to 35 grams of carbohydrates a day, which is very low.
Yeah, but I also haven't tracked calories in a long time. I just
tracking your macros is a lot of work.
For one, I hate it. For two, I'm already super crazy busy, and until you want to jump on stage in your skivvies and get all tanned, spray tanned espresso, then there is really very little reason to be sitting there counting your macros. You can go by the palm size. There's a lot of different strategies out there. We like to use the hand. But it's just a ridiculous notion that you have to count your calories before you're trying to see veins in your stomach.
Yeah. I mean, to play devil's advocate, it's something that you should look at your food intake periodically with yourself, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But
of course.
I think we've done a show on this before, but counting calories is a piss poor way to eat.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's a lot of problems with it. It's not very accurate. It takes a lot of time. It's a waste of your energy, generally speaking.
You're probably generally going to be somewhere between perfectly spot on and 25% off.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, so
depending on your personal body's ability to burn things. Yeah, there's a lot of
Hey!
Oh, there it is. When you post this live, it just blips out and blips right back in.
Yeah. So
nothing happened. Nothing
happened that time.
Happened.
But yeah, okay. So keto is about taking your body into ketosis. You're better at explaining this than I am.
I don't know if this is true. You basically use carbohydrates. People use carbohydrates as a primary fuel source. That's just how your body's designed. When in the absence of carbohydrates, your body will go into ketosis and use fat as its primary fuel source.
And your body can actually produce its own carbohydrate. It just does so in a very, very difficult process.
Right.
So your body has to go through all of these different metabolic processes than it's used to. But besides that, that's how keto is sold. What I really think keto comes down to is you're taking away an entire macronutrient group. And if you took away, even if you were eating a third protein, a third fat, and a third carb, and you take away 1/3, you're down to 70% of the calories that you were eating. It's pretty easy math. So I think that is probably a much bigger portion of the pie when it comes to why this thing actually works.
Well, that's the biggest portion of the pie way any diet works short term.
Yeah.
When you take away an entire food group or macronutrient in general, you are creating a caloric deficit.
Yes, you cannot get away from the caloric deficit. It is going to be there. There are just tons of different strategies to get there. And I think that a lot of them are bogus, which is why we're going into the keto versus vegan thing today.
They are all bogus.
They are all bogus. You can get fat on vegan. I guarantee you.
Do you know Oreos are vegan?
Oreos are vegan. I almost said mac and cheese is vegan, but it's not. It's vegetarian.
My terribly offensive vegan joke was, well, I always ask people, like, are you like...
Please,
say
something offensive.
I'm just saying that, like, I always ask people, like, are you like a kale vegan or like an Oreo vegan?
That's not offensive.
But
that's a good question.
But like the thing is, like, you can be vegan and eat terribly, or you can be vegan and eat really well, right? Like, but most people, regardless of your philosophy, do not have the... I don't know. I mean, you can come up with a lot of excuses. Time, energy, you know, they have a life. Like, when you're eating keto's the same way, but if you're trying to eat well as a vegan or in keto, it requires a lot of management.
It really
you
does.
can do it. And please let me preface anything I'm about to say with, you can be a healthy vegan and you can be a healthy keto person. Like, 100% you can.
Yep.
But the amount of time that it requires to crunch the numbers and make sure that you're getting the variety you need surpasses most people's ability.
Yeah.
That's what I will say.
Yeah. I don't... For one, I cannot say that I've done the vegan diet. However, I have done the keto thing for a number of months. This is a long time ago. This was before keto was the word that got thrown around. Because keto is really just like...
It used to be called Atkins.
It used to be called Atkins. It's keto is just a word that got made up as a marketing ploy that people are taking off with and being like, oh my God, this new thing. It's not a new thing. It's been around. Atkins was not even a new thing. Atkins was made off of this diet that was used to treat people with seizures.
Which is what keto really is.
Yeah,
now.
which was...
There's a medical use for keto.
Right, so like keto is fantastic for I shouldn't say fantastic. There's enough research looking at this thing that we can't deny that there's some connection with seizures and with keto and depression and keto and Alzheimer's and keto seem to have some kind of correlative thing. But this stuff is also, like, just in general, the whole nutritional landscape is also new. We don't have, like, people are like, we know so much about this thing.
We don't know anything.
We don't know anything about this stuff. There's so much that your doctor tries to convince you that they know everything that there is about how the metabolic processes happen in your body and how taking this pill will do this and this and this, when they don't know. It's the most ridiculous thing to think you know. And if you knew, then you wouldn't have all this research going on. Biostatisticians wouldn't have a job. It's just a ridiculous idea. We know way more about strength and conditioning than we do about nutrition.
Sure.
You would think, listening to some of these people, that it's the exact opposite. We know way more about recovery than we know about nutrition. Yeah. I don't think that we know as much about mindset as we know. I would say we know more about mindset, but the path to get there gets... Because you get into like this philosophy and all this other stuff, then
but I kind of feel like they're both like windy, right? Like his nutrition, like on paper, nutrition's easy, but there's a lot of variables on a person-to-person basis, and mindset's kind of the same way, right? Mm-hmm. Like on paper, it's not difficult, but when you like get into people's personalities, their jobs, their lifestyle, all these things, it gets windy. Yeah, and I think they're both the same way, like that.
Yeah,
you know?
And I mean, some of that's just be like, what more could be on your own than mindset? Like nutrition, you're going to do most of your nutrition stuff on your own.
You're going to do almost all of your nutrition
Almost all of it. Like, I'm your coach. I'm not going to be there to slap the food out of your mouth. That's out of your hand. Yeah, slap it out of your mouth.
That's me eating cake.
But so you're going to have to discipline yourself to this. With the mindset stuff, you're disciplining yourself to a new way of thinking. Of acknowledging the habits that you have, the cycle of your mind. With nutrition, you're doing the same thing, the habits that you do have. But anyway, to get back into this, so keto versus vegan, we explain what vegan is, we explain what keto is. Keto, we're trying to get into ketosis. Vegans are like no animal products.
Can I also say something?
Yes.
Another thing worth mentioning is this isn't like a debate about like ethical standpoints on animals. Like, if you don't eat animals because you want to, like...
Which I couldn't disagree with more.
But it doesn't matter. Like,
I care. But I know it doesn't matter.
But, like, from if you're not eating... There's a difference between I'm eating vegan because I think it's healthy, and I don't eat I eat vegan because I love cows and I don't want to kill them. Like, those are two different arguments. And the ethical argument, like, is not what this is about.
Yeah.
Right now. This is about, like, from a health standpoint.
I'll stay away. I'll stay away from the morality of it all.
Right. Yes.
Even though they're ignorant as hell.
You know what it, but like.
That was my, I still got it in, didn't I?
Yeah.
Anyway. All right.
But it's worth mentioning.
Yes, it is worth mentioning. We'll stay away from the morality of it all and that ethics of it all.
Well, because it just, I mean, if you don't want to kill a cow, like, that's like.
Yeah, I don't want to kill a cow either.
Okay.
Well, but at the same time, if I was stuck in a room with, let's say, I like people are like, I could never kill an email. Yeah, and I stick you in a room with a cow, and I give you plenty of water, and I just leave you there for a couple weeks. You will kill and eat that cow.
I mean, I would.
It's nature. Like, most people have not pushed their bodies to the I had to cut weight real hard one time in wrestling, and I remember, like, people say that they'd never do this or never do that. Man, I saw some food in some extremely questionable scenarios where I was like, man, that looks so good. Like, I remember seeing food in the trash and being like, I'm not going to eat that, but man, that looks so good.
Spray it with Windex.
That looks so good. I could eat that right now. Like, you'd eat moldy food. You'd eat the nastiest stuff. But anyway, now that we got you all grossed out.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go through the vegan diet first. Pros of the vegan diet.
Pros of the vegan diet. Well, vegetables, right? I mean, fruits and vegetables. Eating.
So are you just saying micronutrient density in general?
Yes, as long as we're not including Oreos and the Oreo vegan. But yeah, like,
yeah.
Yes. Like, it encourages micronutrient dense foods.
Yeah.
At least the plant-based ones.
Yeah, and I know that some people that have gone vegan that we've had at the gym, and like, we don't try to, like, I don't get like all huffy when people walk in and say they're vegan. Like, it's your life, you can live it however you want. But one of the things that sometimes I'll say is, like, normally they just go in and grab a piece of pizza, whereas when they decided to be vegan, they decided that the pizza wasn't on the menu for them.
Right.
Like, they'd normally just go grab this crappy thing, and all of a sudden now they thought a little bit different.
But you can buy, like, crappy vegan food, too. Like, you can buy, like meat substitute.
I'm trying really hard to come up with another pro of the vegan diet.
Another pro of the vegan diet.
Micronutrient density.
I mean, there's a debate as to
you probably make better decisions. Yeah.
Like Earth responsibility.
The environment thing.
Like, there's an argument to be. Here's the thing: I know both sides of this argument.
This is where I was trying to stay away from earlier too.
Yeah.
Because
I know both sides of this argument, but there is an argument on both sides for this.
Okay, you do the pro-vegan side, and I'll do the anti-vegan side.
Well, right, that, like, livestock. I feel like I'm not super qualified.
Whatever.
That livestock, like, they're like byproducts of livestock.
You mean the methane?
Yeah, there's the methane, and then there's, like, the transporting of them.
Yes.
And then there's also, like, the deforestation of, like, what you need to do to maintain livestock.
Okay. All right, so if you go there, then we have to go with the same thing with agriculture.
Yeah.
Because tractors have to be on the land. We have to rape the land to be able to do the thing. And then we have to kill all the animals that were living in that land to be able to do our thing on that land to produce the vegan food to give to the vegans.
Yeah.
So we actually do more harm with a farm than we do with a cattle farm, because the cattle farm can fit in this little tiny spot.
Not if you do it right.
And I'll go back. I feel
like grass-fed beef takes up a lot of room. Like,
sure, of course, because you have to. But, like, that's a more cyclical way with how nature works. But you're getting more, you're getting more from what you put in with the cow than you would with the food.
I mean, I think that you could make an argument that the pro of the vegan diet would be that you don't have to kill animals.
Yes.
That is a pro.
However,
I mean, like, right?
Right. I don't want to kill an animal either. Like I grew up in a hunting family. I still don't like killing things.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
That's a pro on paper, though.
On paper, it is. But so two things with that. So the methane thing. The reason that cattle exists so we bred cattle to be a certain way. right? And to be docile and to live in pens. And so they've survived because we give them food. If we just turn them out in nature, they would not be able to do their thing anymore. They'd die a way more horrific death out in nature than they would by...
Isn't that not true with pigs? Like, if you turn a pig loose, don't they, like, turn
pigs
into...
will just, yeah,
like, turn into a wild pig and, like, go
not
live
like
their life?
Not in, like, like, within the pig's lifetime, but their kids would, because,
really? Because
all the pigs that can't survive would... Pigs are super smart.
I heard that pigs, like, if you let a pig loose, it'll, like, live and be...
It probably would be fine, because they're such good foragers, and they're really, really smart.
And
But
they
I
can
don't,
eat anything.
a cow would not. Anybody who tries to tell me that a cow... Like, I grew up taking care of cows. Cows are completely dependent on humans. So you turn it out, and then on top of that, with the methane thing, humans actually contribute more to the methane thing from their own waste than cows do. So if you were going to say that, oh, there's too many cattle on the earth and they're producing all this methane, then you have to say, well, who are eating the cattle? Okay, well, then that's the reason. So you're really saying it's a people issue, not a cattle issue.
Well, everything's a people issue, yeah.
I don't know if there's too much population, but if you're going to make the methane argument, you have to make the human population one.
That's fine. The problem is I'm not passionate enough about this.
Yeah,
so
I do care about cattle. They weren't pets, but they were my friends. Like growing up, I took care of them. I was very much in a situation where you got to know these things.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I was 9 years old. The first time that I showed my calf at the fair, and I had taken care of that thing for a year. I brushed it every day. I washed it every day. I walked it every day, for months and months and months. Right?
It?
What?
Did you feed it later?
Well, maybe. I mean, but I doubt it.
Nobody
what I did have to do...
Nobody was like, that's Rosie and cow.
Oh, God. What I did have to do is I'm 9 years old. I thought it was big and bad, but really I'm just like this little boy. And I showed it at the fair, and then a few days later you have to sell your calf at the fair. And I'm selling my calf. I'm like, man, I'm like the big kids now, but really I'm 9. But I'm showing this calf that's like 1,200 pounds. And they say sold for X amount per pound. I'm like, okay, cool. And they're like, take it to the trailer. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I go to the trailer, and the guy's like, take it to the back, slip its halter off, and say goodbye. And I was like, what? Oh yeah, it was fucking heartbreaking.
This is super sad.
I know. So like people who say like I don't have a heart, like fuck you, because I had to take that. I took that calf. I'm 9 years old. I'm a 9-year-old little boy trying to be tough. Trying to be like a man, you know? And I take this calf back to the back, and this calf had not had its halter off in the entirety of the time that I knew it, from the time it was a calf. And I had to slip the halter off. And I remember going, well, I didn't know what to say. I remember being like, I never called him buddy, but I was like, I'll see you later, buddy. And I prided myself on not crying. Like, it was important to be strong. It was important to be tough. And I put my head down.
Are you gonna cry right now?
Yeah, it was a rough one. It was fucking rough. And I walked back, and I remember going and hiding because I was walking my head down like this, just trying not to cry. And I went and hid. And I fucking bawled. I never let anybody see me bawl. I don't remember where I went. I think I went to a wagon, crawled up in the wagon, and crawled down the bottom. But it was just that's so people who say you don't like animals because you're not vegan. I like animals very, very much, but that calf, if I would have let him out into a field and let him just run free, he would have gotten taken. He would have starved to death for one, or he would have gotten taken down by predators. Which one would you rather? Would you rather him go to a slaughterhouse where he gets taken care of like that, or would you rather him die this terrible death?
I mean, I think that if I was vegan, I would make the argument that those aren't the only two options. What
else is there?
He could have lived on your farm.
Yeah, but what am I supposed to do?
I'm just saying. I think that ultimately, if you were vegan, you would take in all the cows and not reproduce them and stuff.
Okay, so then all the vegans need to just take care of all the cattle.
Yes, that's probably a fair.
There's probably just as many cattle as there are on this.
Well, I think ultimately, you would not breed them so heavily, and you would.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there would be no reason to breed them so heavily.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
you should have brought him home.
Maybe, but what's he going to do then? He's going to live without purpose.
Well, I mean, who are you to decide maybe his purpose is to
See, I think this is an interesting thing too, because
I don't know. You're putting his purpose. You're transferring his purpose to him. Like,
I know.
he was cool. He's fine just chilling and
I
eating
know,
grass.
but I think there's like a certain understanding there. Like this kind of gets into the purpose
This
thing
is a
because
ridiculous show.
I know. But to me, I hold purpose as like a sacred thing.
Like, just because you, like, I feel like you're just transferring.
Maybe I'm projecting,
Yeah, that's what
sure.
I mean. Like, I feel like you're projecting your, like, inner need for purpose onto that cow.
I don't know. Like
I don't know that the cow feels a strong
like
need
why
for
would
purpose.
you live if you didn't have a purpose? Like purpose just is like this massive joy. I don't know. It just seems like. I think maybe it's my DNA playing on me, but at the same time, like
Yeah,
purpose is like a big deal to me, and I think that it was probably a big deal to him too.
I mean, you knew him better than I did. But I think that you might be projecting your need for purpose onto the cow.
Maybe, but what's the point of living if you're not going to have a purpose?
I don't know. I mean, like, what... The purpose is a real ambiguous term.
I don't know if you're...
What's your purpose?
Well, that's for you to find out.
I'm saying, what's yours?
Mine?
Yeah.
Mine
your purpose?
is to... oh my God, why am I blanking on this? To experience the life I want to live. And to help others do the same.
I'm just saying, like,
So-
I don't know that, like, most people or cows could, like, rat a lot. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're asking what my purpose is, I don't know.
I think they have thoughts and they have feelings, they have emotions,
Yeah,
and they have memories, just like we do, just not in the same. Like, I don't think that they have like theological discussions with each other.
Do you think that cows are like, hey, Rosie, what's your purpose?
No, I highly doubt it.
And they're like, I'm cool, I'm just chilling. Maybe cows are like they like to relax.
But I do think this is an interesting thing though, because like then we can get into plants, and I've had this discussion with people before too. It's like they're like
where plants can feel pain.
You're taking a life by taking that cow's life to fulfill its purpose, and you can say the same thing for a plant. You cut an onion up, and you're like, well, what was that the onion's purpose? And I've had this discussion with vegans before, and they're like, but plants aren't sentient. It's like we've scientifically proven that plants feel pain.
Yeah, right? Isn't that a thing?
They just don't scream and like how you think of like in a horror movie.
Well, it's like like they have their own.
Did you ever
like,
see the movie Sausage Party?
No.
By the way, it's really good. You should watch it.
Okay.
There's
Does an onion,
like a
like,
potato.
attack?
Well, they think they're going they think that the kitchen, like getting picked and going to a kitchen is like meeting their master, like meeting the God and like going to the heavens. And there's this potato that's like, I got picked first, and then she takes out a peeler and she's like, shh. And he's like, what the fuck? Yeah. It's really a terrible
plants
movie,
have
but it's
like
really
defense
funny.
mechanisms built in, right? Like that's why
Yep.
you cry when you cut an onion. Like that's why your eyes water is the onion's trying to keep you from
Yeah.
eating it. I mean,
Right.
yeah, I mean, like I said, it's hard for me to argue. Like, okay, so the pros of the vegan diet are it encourages micronutrients.
Density.
Micronutrient density, and you don't have to kill animals.
But you still have to take a life in that you took a plant's
Right,
life.
but you don't take an animal's life. I'm clear. Like,
Yes.
I'm being clear. So you
But
do
I think
not,
that's like a delusional sickness.
But it's, I don't know. I mean,
To think, oh, I'm not going to take the animal's life, but I'm going to take the plant's life. Like they're both alive.
I'd rather kill something that doesn't scream.
But yes.
If I had to kill something. I mean, like if I had a choice between picking a flower or killing my dog, like I'm going to pick the flower.
Yeah, I do remember.
I feel like we have less emotional bonds with our plants,
Yes.
generally speaking.
Yes.
So you
and
have
I will
to,
say that I have met the kill guy
the kill guy.
at the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Like,
Was
and he was kind of weird.
Yeah, I bet. Like,
And
that's a rough job.
I remember walking away from him and asking my dad, like, have you ever asked him what it's like? And my dad said yes, and then he had like this weird explanation that it was like he didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's
It's like you get numb to it, and then it gets weird.
right. So, but
So we didn't stay away from the morality of it all
No.
because I'm a liar.
So, but it is a pro that you don't have to kill an animal.
It is a pro.
So we've made it nowhere. All right, great.
But the cons of it are a different form of micronutrient deficiency.
Well, so when you get into caloric restriction in any form, it is, you have to worry about your micronutrients. When you restrict a food group, you restrict calories. When you're taking things away from your diet, you have to be mindful because, there are you like your iron, B12.
There's certain things in meats and like especially in eggs and
D,
in the egg yolk.
vitamin D.
There's something called choline. You don't find that anywhere else in our nutrition, and it's extremely good for you.
So it's not that you you can be a healthy vegan, but you really need to manage those nutrients that vegans can be lacking.
Yeah, and like she said earlier, plants aren't always good for you. Like certain seeds are actually really bad to be putting in your body. Like there's certain things that aren't good for you to be having, and we tend to think like, oh, all plants are great for you. Not always accurate.
Don't eat the poison ivy.
Yeah, no shit. But we also there's certain things in animal fat that are much better than vegetable fat.
Well, when it comes, are you saying like cooking oil wise? Like,
yeah, like vegetable oil versus lard, for instance.
Well, so vegetable oil is vegan, but it's terrible for you. Right. This is like being an Oreo vegan.
That's what I was meaning.
Yeah, like so animal fats cooking with lard and stuff like is butter. Your body knows what to do with those things. They're not hydrogenated. Hydrogenated basically just means that they they changed the molecular structure of it, and essentially you're eating plastic. They add more hydrogen, I think, is why it's hydrogenated. Well, they move it, yeah. Well. One hydrogen ion makes a big difference. But yeah, how do you take vegetable oil and make it into Crisco? You hydrogenate it. That's why Crisco sucks. That's why vegetable oil sucks. And it lasts forever. Yeah. Which is why they do it. So yeah, cooking, so you have to be more mindful of your oils, because I bet you that so any cheap, any shelf stable food, they usually have pretty crappy ingredients because they're trying to make money on you. Yeah. And anything that's really high quality is usually really expensive. Yeah, that's how high fructose corn syrup started. Yeah, so the same with anything. If you were to go to the store and buy which is also vegan, by the way. What is? High fructose corn syrup. Well, yeah, it comes with corn. Yep. So, right. But that's the thing, right? So you go to the store and you buy a package of, I don't know, whatever that's vegan, and it's just because vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. It's got hydrogenated oils, and it's got high fructose corn syrup in it. It's got, it just doesn't have any meat product in it, but or animal product, but that doesn't mean the ingredients are good for you. Right. So. And the last thing that I'll add is that it's super hard to live your life around this. So you're going to go to the same 3 restaurants in your town if you want to eat out, and those are the only places that you can go. Otherwise, you got to eat at home. Anytime you have anything, you're going to have to turn down. You're bringing your food to your family's house for Thanksgiving. You bring your tofurkey to Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, that's true. I don't want a tofurkey. It's just and also sorry to interrupt you. Nope. So protein, right? Protein sources in the vegan diet are beans, lentils, and soy. But those are still those are really carbohydrate sources. Well, those two are the first two. But when it comes to tofu and soy-based protein, that's another whole long discussion. But soy-based protein in a negative way. Yeah, isn't really that great for you either way, because it's a what is it? What is female hormones? Estrogen. I couldn't think of the word estrogen. I was it's a phytoestrogen. Right? Estrogen. So it just was what's the word? But it can mimic estrogen in your system, so you can see how that could be a problem for men, right? You just eat a bunch of soy. It's also a problem for females too, because it creates the balance gets the negative up. Feedback loop. Right. So you get a mustache and an Adam's apple, and you start sounding like me. You don't want that. If you're female, you don't want that. If you're male. I don't know. That is not... All right. But you have to be a little wary, because you need to make sure you get enough protein in. Yeah, I think this is an interesting thing that there's this anti... Because really, I could be pro-vegan if you're just talking the positivity of plants and fruits. Precision nutrition... Vegetables. Has a thing that they say where they're you can be a plant-based eater without being vegan. 100%. So if you if that's what you're saying, right? Yeah, you can be plant-based and still eat meat too. Right. It's very simple. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think like really when you look at the vegan diet, the benefits of it are that it's the consumption of fruits and vegetables. Like you don't have to be vegan to do that.
Yep.
So interesting. So can we go into the pros and cons of the keto diet then real quick?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, so pros. From a seizure, depression, and our Alzheimer's standpoint,
From
there
a
seems
medical-
from a medical standpoint, seems to have some very interesting things going on there.
Yeah.
From what else? From the standpoint of really quick results, so that people stay motivated. Someone my size that would go on a keto diet would probably lose 12 pounds in a week because my glycogen stores in my body would shrink to nothing, and that just takes up a certain amount of weight, and the salts in my body would shrink down too.
Yeah, so ketogenic diets are diuretic by nature.
Yep.
And like that's a con in some ways because that sodium, like you can get sodium.
Yeah, you can
deficient
get
on it.
especially someone like me
Electrolyte,
that probably doesn't get enough salt just in general. But yeah, what are some of the other pros?
Other pros. It's the fat phobia, right? Like the fact that they're pro healthy fats.
Yeah.
That's
animal
good.
fats not being bad for you.
Yeah, that's good.
I'd say that's a positive too. Or like the saturated fats are bad for you, which
Right.
is just
Not
debunked
true.
over and over and over and over again, and you still hear it. Okay, so let's get into the cons. One thing would be that when you're on a caloric deficit, you lose more muscle mass, and when you're on a caloric surplus, you actually gain less muscle mass. Like that's no good. Not if we want to. If we want a caloric deficit, we want to keep as much muscle as possible and lose as much fat as possible. Right?
Well, you can't. I mean, that's a slippery slope.
What do you mean?
In general, trying to be in caloric deficit and build muscle mass.
Oh yeah, totally.
Unless
you can do it.
You can. It depends on your body type. It depends on how much your
Yeah.
body mass you're working with.
Well, that
if
definitely
you
helps.
haven't,
And
yeah.
your training age. Like if you're just starting out, it's probably going to happen whether you're in a surplus or a
Sure.
deficit, regardless.
But like if you're ectomorph, like a really thin person,
Yeah.
going into caloric deficit and building muscle mass would be
Really
damn
dumb.
near impossible.
Yeah, damn near.
It would, right? Like,
Yeah,
would you agree
no,
with
I'm just
that?
giving you a
Like,
hard
whereas if you're an endomorph who has a bigger body mass that you're trying to move, you still have it
Yeah.
to move to muscle.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a side note, but
No, that's
like,
good.
right? Like, would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's kind of hard to deny that. I think we've proven that over and over again.
So, depending on your body type, a ketogenic diet, like if you are an ectomorph, like if you're a naturally thin person who carries very little body fat and very little muscle on their body, and you go on a ketogenic diet, you're going to have a very hard time building muscle mass.
You're going to have a very hard time just in general. I think like ectomorphs just don't do well on a ketogenic diet.
Yeah, but
They can get it done. I'm just saying they just don't do as well.
this is the whole one size fits all thing, right? Like everybody's been preached like the ketogenic diet's like the way of the world, and it has its place and things.
Totally
like,
does.
but if you like, it's how the thing we talk about, like how weight loss advice, nutrition advice is tailored to weight loss so often that people get the wrong impression that they think it can help them when it can't.
Yeah.
Like somebody who's incredibly thin and trying to put on muscle mass, like the ketogenic diet
is not a good
not
way to
the
go.
way to
Neither is
go.
the vegan diet. It's just going to be super hard. Just like we were talking about before, like you look at me and you're like, well, how many carbs do you eat, Adam? I'm like, I eat plenty of carbs.
No.
Like, carb phobia is just as bad as the fat phobia that happened 20 years ago.
Well, right. Just like there's good fat sources, there's good carbohydrate sources, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. So getting into the more cons of the ketogenic diet and transitioning, like, there's those micronutrients that you're missing because you're, like, if you can't eat a carrot because it's too high in carbohydrates, like, you're missing out on a lot of micronutrients.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Can you go into the fiber
And-
thing too?
Yeah, well, I mean, anything. So, fiber is a type of carbohydrate, really. It's just in different. One that requires
doesn't get
less
broken down,
management.
yeah.
But foods that are high in fiber typically are a little higher in carbohydrate too.
Right.
So usually the ketogenic diet keeps you away from higher fiber foods that are really good for you.
Yeah, like you can't eat raspberries or blueberries. Like what?
Or very small amounts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
It's just
like I said, everybody's ketosis level is a little different, but yeah, I mean, you're talking
and you've
like
got to be putting it. You got to like if you eat chicken, you're gonna have to dip it in butter. It's like
ranch dressing on everything. Like that, but like that's for real,
Yeah.
you know. But just like there's good fat sources, right, where you're talking about like the butters, the lards, the coconut oils, the avocado oils, those things that are great. Like, and then there's hydrogenated crappy Crisco. Carbohydrates the same way. There's shitty white bread.
Yeah.
And then there's like a sweet potato that has tons of micronutrients and fiber in it.
Yeah.
Like, there's good and bad of every macronutrient. Yeah. That's why macronutrients aren't like the whole picture. When people mess around with their macronutrients, like, you're missing a lot of what matters.
Yeah.
Because you can make your macronutrient, you can eat like garbage and hit your macronutrients that you're going for.
Yeah. It's just one of those silly things.
But people act like health is not wrapped up in your macros.
No. And like
your physique can be wrapped up in your macros. Like you can like when you want to get on stage in your underwear, your macros matter. But it's true, right?
No, it's
but
true.
If you want to be
it's
like
funny to think about, like
a healthy person,
yeah.
Like if you're worried about like literally like your body's functioning,
well, none of that, like
your micronutrients, like when you move that out of the picture, like you have a problem.
And if you're 30 pounds overweight, you are not healthy. Like, I don't care how good a shape you're in. If you're 30 pounds overweight, you're putting extra stress on your joints. You're like, if you eat in a way that's conducive with your health, you should be like a decent fat percentage. You should not, like, maybe you shouldn't see, like, we probably shouldn't be all the way down to see,
you probably won't have a six pack.
The veins in your stomach, those don't need to, like, that's not like a sign of health. But not being able to see an ab, you are like, no, like that's like, you're not in a healthy place.
An
ab. Like, if you can't see one ab, then we've got too much fat on the body. So like, I just think it gets easy to.
Or you had a kid. Cut a mom some slack.
Yeah. No, I'm overstating a little bit, but if you eat healthy,
I feel judged.
Eating healthy should look a certain way too. Is what I'm saying. Like, so many people are just like, but I want to look like those people up on stage. Just I don't want to go up on stage. It's like, but that's if you eat the way that we're telling you, you will end up, or it should be moving towards looking more towards that.
Yes, more towards that. But the thing is you are sold this image of what health is that is not realistic.
Not at all.
So just like those people you see on your Facebook ads for like a gym, right? Not our gym.
With their veins all popping out.
Their veins are popping out, so they're Photoshopped. They don't even look like it.
They don't look like that.
They don't look like that.
They only look like it for about 3 days anyway.
They're dehydrated. Mm-hmm. They have
less than 3 days, like 6 hours.
Yeah, like they're dehydrated. They're carb depleted. They're like they don't look like that, and that is not health. They look awesome. So if we want to get into that Venn diagram, like physique wise. They're like awesome, but they don't usually live there.
It's short-lived. You couldn't live there. It would be really ill-advised to live there. Right. Yeah. And neither the vegan diet or the keto diet, I think, is the way to get towards that. I think...
well, from a short-term perspective. So anything works for a few weeks.
Oh, yeah. 6 weeks. Everything works for 6 weeks.
If you want to look like that for a little... like. I want to look amazing for pictures and
then go for it. I didn't mean that.
We can get you there. You won't sustain it for your lifetime.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean.
But you can look good in pictures.
You should be able to sustain a low body fat content, but sustaining abs coming out of your stomach is not. That's just ridiculous. So you wouldn't want to even if you could. So anyway, if you haven't noticed,
some of the tangents.
Some of the cons of the keto diet and the cons of the vegan diet are extremely similar.
Right.
You want to hit on that?
So, it's funny. The two biggest downfalls of both diets are the sustainability.
Yep.
So,
you can't adhere to it forever.
But there's people that can, right? There's people who will be vegans forever, and there's people who will be keto forever. But those people were going to be something forever.
Yeah.
Like, they're a different breed. Like, the majority... Like, what percentage of people do you think can live on an extreme nutrition philosophy for a lifetime?
Well, everybody's living on some kind of...
No, like a stringent
Oh, you mean like a vegan or a...
Yeah.
Very, very few. Like
1% of the population.
If that.
Yeah. So, like, it's possible. But so you see those people and you're like, I could be that person. But here's the, like we said, like, do you want to bring your own Thanksgiving dinner? Do you want to not go out to dinner with your friends? Do you want to not go have a margarita after work?
Do you want to have moral fights with your friends over how they eat?
Do you want to have to deal with raising a kid that way?
That is an interesting thing too. The vegan diet has killed more kids than any diet that there is.
Well,
It is sick and twisted and totally fucked up. Like, there are so many parents out there. Like, Google it and see how many parents have murdered their children because they were so committed. They did. They murdered their children because they were so extreme to a vegan diet. It is insane.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, but a lot of people are just doing the best they can with the information they were given. Like, they think they're doing the right
I get that,
thing.
but at some point you lose me. That's like that couple that just got charged with they wouldn't take their kid to the doctor and they let it starve to death and
That's a
then they
thing, yeah.
like you lose. I can get along with you to a certain extent, and at some point you lose me, like, because like whether it was an accident or not, the reality is that the tragedy happened and it's awful and it's so sad.
What if it's a cow? Fuck that cow.
No, you murdered it.
I'm just joking.
Like, the cow lived out of purpose. That little kid died.
It
didn't live out of purpose.
I know.
I know. But it's just like that shit bugs me.
Yeah.
Like, anything like malnutrition is would be a terrible way to go.
But once again, you can do it if you want to manage it to the extreme.
I suppose, yeah.
It's possible.
You can't do it with a kid, though. You cannot do it with a kid. You cannot feed a 2-week-old soy milk and think that he's going to be able to survive.
2-week-olds should be having breast milk.
Like, I know. That's how ridiculous these parents were, that they did not.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's what I mean. You had me to a point.
And then transition to a very highly managed vegan diet. It is possible to be healthy, but the reality is most people do not have the
time,
the bandwidth
energy,
to deal with
it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So, but anyway, back to the
away from parent murderers. Yeah.
Parent murders. Yeah. So, sustainability. Yeah. Like the lifestyle forever thing, keto or vegan, you're going to have those same problems. You're not going to be able to go to a restaurant. You're not going to be able to eat with your friends. You're going to have a socially isolated relationship with food that is damaging.
Yeah.
You know, that's across the board. And then the other thing that's the biggest downfall to both of them is that you are trading those macronutrients for micronutrients that matter.
Yeah. So there's pros and cons. What we're saying is by the end of this, that really the vegan and the keto diet have similar drawbacks and similar pros and similar cons. And so to me, it just seems like you should take the greats from all of them.
I was just gonna say, you can. There's not that there's not a lesson to be learned in any of this.
Right.
There's good in both of those diets.
100%.
And there's bad in both of those diets.
Yeah.
So what we do is we take the good and lose the bad, and we make it work for people.
Yeah, you have to have a bullshit filter, like a filter for bullshit.
In a realistic
you try to get what you can out of it, and then you leave all the rest behind. You get what you can, and you leave all the rest. And you get what you can, and you leave all the rest. And pretty soon, you're left with this huge toolbox that you can go out into your life and use.
Right. Agreed.
Anyway, so if anything, we hope that we've given this realization or hopefully you have this realization that we all know enough to make better decisions. I think that's probably the best, most simple advice you can give anybody on nutrition. Everybody knows enough to make better decisions.
This is one of those prime examples, and I ask the nutrition peeps all the time, do you need to eat less or do you need to eat better?
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to these caloric deficits and stuff, eating better, it would fix a lot of people's problems.
Yes, I think it would fix almost everything. Everything until you want to see the veins in your stomach.
Almost nobody needs to eat less. They need to eat better.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get by on eating less. It just sucks.
But
it's really hard.
But you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
It's just so much more fun to eat better. You
mess
feel
with
better.
Your metabolism.
You look better. Your skin looks better.
Adaptive thermogenesis catches up with you.
Whoa.
We've talked about it before.
Thermogenesis.
But it's true, though. You know what I mean? When you play the eat less game, every time you eat more, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah,
It
at
doesn't
some point
undo
it catches
itself,
up to you.
yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see, like, over the next 20 years, because of the number of diabetics that are happening in the world right now, and what happened 30 years ago with the whole food pyramid, and the amount of data with where technology is right now, and how fast we can collect. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in 20 years when we really get a better handle on this thing to find out. But right now, we ultimately, the world doesn't know. I'm not saying Adam and Amber don't know. I'm saying all of us don't know. Your nutritionist doesn't know. Your doctor doesn't know. Your strength coach doesn't know. We have some general ideas that seem to work pretty well.
Well, and also do your own research. Like, so many of those people that we're talking about, like, and it's not like specific people, but like people in general, like, it's the same with strength though. Like, people are behind the times. Like, when your doctor went to medical school 35 years ago, it's a different ballgame than it is now. So
that's even a little different, because like strength and conditioning needs to get back to the basics of...
It's the opposite.
Oh my God, yes. They've gone so far away from, that's old. We know so much better than that now. It's like, no, those old guys knew so much better than you, dumbass.
Oh, too old? Yeah, because now it's like, when you squat, putting your knees over your toes. You know what I mean? Like, things like that. Or like stupid rules like hollowing, or, you know, when you're bracing, like things like that are like, they're outdated.
Yeah, the knees behind your toe thing was never, it came from one book. Anyway, we don't need to get into it. And the stomach hollowing was misguided. It was a good idea at the time, but now we know better.
Right, and it's the same with nutrition though. Like, when those people, like, make sure the people that you're getting advice from are up to date on their information.
And they're continuing to learn.
It changes forever. And it's okay, like, that your doctor went to medical school 35 years ago if he gives a shit enough to keep learning.
Yeah.
But
right.
if
that's the big one right there. Like, I refuse, like, that's one of my rules. Like, I refuse to learn from anybody who is not continuing to learn.
Well, it's just these fields are changing so fast.
Yeah, because new data
it's constantly changing.
Constantly, yeah.
So if people aren't up to date on it, like, if you go sit, I mean, we see people all the time who like I go to a nutritionist and we counted calories together, and like,
or they, like, what they continually tell me, they won't, I don't know if they tell you this, but they'll get out of your group, like your session that you did with them, they'll come over to me and they'll be like, this was so great. You know, when I showed up to my other nutritionist, all she does is she puts down her books and she goes, what questions do you have for me? And it's like, and they're always like, well, I don't know. You tell me what I'm supposed to do. And so, like, one thing that I think you do really well is you do both. Like, here's some information. What questions do you have on what's going on in your life? All right, let's assess, how did you do? You know, like, you have, like, all this stuff going on, like this process. And you don't just like, well, what questions do you have? Well, they don't even know what to ask.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, make sure the people you're getting advice from
are continuing to
learn, because that field is forever changing.
Yep. All right, you ready to finish up?
I'm ready.
All right, please like, comment, share if you enjoyed this. Anything that you get, any questions that you guys do have for us, put down in the comment section below. But I hope you found this helpful. Move Strong Games, August 25th. Definitely sync synergy. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you soon.